I've never really thought of oranges as a weapon. What? Here goes nothing. Take this, gumshoe! Oh boy, love on the rock. Pure Flix strikes again with yet another action movie. Look, I'm always the type of guy, if you watch any of my content, I'm always talking about how we need more Christian action movies. I'm like, yo, where's the Christian action movies? I literally just said that in a podcast I did a couple days ago. More people are watching action films than any other genre, and so I was wondering, where are the Christian action films? So like, one part of me is just so excited that Pure Flix is one of the few groups still making Christian action movies, and it's like, I want to like them so bad, but it's like, man, I want to love you. It's just, I want to love you, but I can't. I just can't. Man, it just feels like they're really struggling with some of these action stories and movies that they're doing and just pulling them off effectively. So we're gonna be talking about this movie today with David White in it. I guess, you know, my biggest gripe with the movie is honestly, I have a lot of small gripes, but my biggest singular gripe with the movie is that it's not really an original movie at all. I mean, it's not like Beckman. Beckman was like the most blatant John Wick ripoff I think I've ever seen.
No longer will I put up with this.
Like this movie, maybe I don't watch a lot of movies and it is a ripoff of something, but if it is, I haven't really seen what movie it's a ripoff. It's a little more original, but it's not really creative. First of all, it uses a story, a very similar story to like so many movies. It starts off with, there's this amazing serum created that can cure the world. And these people break into the laboratory. One of the scientists escapes. His name is Luigi.
It's me, Super Luigi.
And he escapes with the serum, and somehow the serum ends up in the arms of the main character whose name is Colton. I don't even remember what his last name was. Do you think I actually pay attention when I watch these movies? Of course not. So Colton ends up with the serum. And for the rest of the movie, he's basically caught between like 2 or 3 different groups of villains trying to capture the serum and take it for themselves.
You are the only one standing in my way.
It's not an original storyline. Like, the dialogue is pretty poorly written. The characters, I mean, I kind of hate to say this, but honestly, like, if the main character, spoiler alert, he doesn't die, but honestly, like, if he died in the movie, I really wouldn't even care. I mean,
how dare you?
I don't mean to be cold-hearted when I say that, but he's just not an interesting character. I as much as I maybe wanted to, I just found myself unable to connect with him personally. I found him uninteresting. He just has a very cliche and stereotypical, sad, heartbreaking backstory.
Been married a little over 7 years, but that was soon to be over.
There's not really anything interesting about him. He's supposed to be some ex-cop, but he's not even like, he's not even good at fighting. He's not even really that smart. To talk about the villains, if you're going to have a good movie, you need to have a good villain. What's sad is that the villains in this movie are they're just bad villains.
You're a villain, all right. Just not a super one.
So, well, one of the villains is actually decent. Her name is Plaza. She's one of the female villains. And what's sad is she's like the only character in the movie that I like. She actually has personality, and they continually in the movie, in case you can't notice, they have to let you know, like, people always talking about her, saying that she's such a crazy individual. Like, Plaza's crazy. She's such a It's late. What can I say? I'm just tired. She has this amazing memeable moment in the movie.
You thought I was just going to let you bark orders at me? That I wouldn't make my own plan? You hit me with a car!
I mean, there's like a couple decent moments, but like most of the dialogue in the movie is just hit or miss. The main villain in the movie, honestly, he made me laugh more than he actually scared me or like actually came off as a villain. He spends 90% of the movie staring at his phone, yelling at people, like, oh man, I pay you money! You should be doing a better job than this! Like, he's not a threatening villain at all. There's like this one shot where he's got like this phone in that case, like the cases that flip open, he's just staring at it, yelling. He looks like some old grandpa trying to figure out his phone, like, When that gets you, I'm gonna bite you to death with my gums.
You listen to me. I need you to take care of this for me. Now! Do you understand? I pay you! A lot!
For the serum being the element that drives the story, we know surprisingly little about it. It supposedly cures literally everything. Wow, that's a very creative and realistic thought. So Luigi escapes with this serum and breaks into Colton's boat, and in trying to hide the serum, he puts the serum in Colton's boat and then runs off, and Plaza catches him and kills him because, you know, that's what she does.
Luigi.
So Colton has the serum and he doesn't even realize it. And so these different groups of people begin to hunt him down, realizing that Luigi likely gave him the serum, even though he doesn't believe he has. And there's like 2 or 3 different groups of villains. I got kind of confused. There's even scenes where they're talking to each other, and I just get confused easily. So I was majorly confused.
Look at somebody next to you and say, "You look confused."
So anyway, the one that's centered in Virginia, I believe it was, in the United States, sends out one of his undercover agents, and she's the main female character of the movie, the love on the rock part. Her job is to pretend to fall in love with Colton and, you know, become buddy-buddy with him so she can get him to tell her where the serum is. You know, kind of a Samson Delilah moment. Problem is, she's no Delilah. She's actually a really nice girl, and that's one of the problems with the movie. She's too nice. If I'm not mistaken, she works for a criminal. And I might be wrong with that. I don't know. My screen turned off behind me. I was trying to give you guys a cool backdrop to look at. Yeah. So I'm expecting this woman who's like, you know, knows how to fight, and she's kind of like really clever or smart. She's not really that smart or clever. She's not even really, she's supposed to be able to fight and stuff. She can't even fight in this movie. Honestly, she comes across as a kind of a useless agent, and that's after her boss was like, she's ready. She's the one that I like.
On updates every hour starting yesterday. And send them our young one, the one I like. She's ready.
I don't know. I wasn't really impressed with her. I feel like she should have accomplished more in the movie, and she did very little. Honestly, just about the only thing she actually did in the movie to help was like stop this Plaza from stabbing Colton to death. Like, she didn't accomplish much more in the movie other than that.
That was no help. Now what am I supposed to do?
It was really cheesy. Like, some of the dialogue scenes between Colton and her, like, she does end up falling in love with Colton, of course. Because, you know, it's just a movie, and that's what happened. Shut up, Joseph. So, like, what I always point people to when I'm saying, here's what you should look to for an example of some really charming, romantic dialogue. And one of the best examples, I would say, is The Amazing Spider-Man between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. The dialogue between them just felt so, the chemistry felt so organic. It felt so real. And then you have this movie where the dialogue, not only is it not clever, but it also just feels very unnatural. And there's like this really awkward scene when Colton first meets, did I even say her name? I don't even know if I said her name. Her name is Josie, and she pretends to have a bike that's broken down the side of the road, and he's like, you know, you can throw it in the back of my car and I'll take you to town, like, you know, kind of innocent. And she's like,
thank you, really, but it's just, I don't really know you, to be honest.
He basically starts pressing her to get into his van. It just sounds so awkward saying it. He's like trying to load some woman up in his van with a bike. And it's just like such an awkward scene. And it's like, it's not charming at all. And for me, it's hard to connect with an actual romantic love story if there's not any charming elements to it. So at the end of the day, like when he's done meeting her and she's leaving, he invites her to come back to do a boat tour because he does boat tours. And it's like the second encounter they have, like she gets in the boat with him, the second encounter, they're jumping in water and kissing. And it's like, I'm not against the kissing. Like, you know, don't rip this clip from this video and misquote me. Joseph says, I'm not against the kissing. But this is the second time you've seen this guy. Like, I understand, like, you know, it's a love movie, you want to have some kissing in it, but at least give some emotional framework for me as the viewer. Instead, it's like, hi, my name is Colton, you know, oh, I have some poor lines of dialogue here. Hi, nice to meet you. Oh, come see me tomorrow. You know, there was nothing charming between the two of you. I didn't see any chemistry, and now all of a sudden, there's this manufactured romance. She's just waving at him from across the boat. It's so cheesy, man. But back to the topic of the villains. An element that really took me out of the story and I think really messed up some of the action sequences, which already the action sequences were really poorly done. I'm not gonna say like they're horrible, but I mean, there's not anything really amazing about them. But there's like this one hitman that the main villain sends to hunt down Colton and fight him.
You're up. Bring him to me, alive.
And they literally have this really awkward fight scene where the guy literally almost throws Colton's gun to him, like right at the outset of a fight. I'm like, are you an idiot? You're about to fight this guy and you're throwing a gun where he could grab it? And then they start fighting. And there's like no weight to the battle because in the middle of the battle, it's like Colton starts, he's like, he's got a gasp for breath and he holds up his fingers like, wait. And the other guy just like pauses. It's like, what kind of a battle for this? If I'm gonna see this fight scene and this guy's a hitman working for this horrible, awful villain who's really not this threatening in the movie, you should be trying to scare me. Like, I'm actually scared for Colton's life, and I can't be scared for Colton's life when there's this guy who's literally like, yeah, take your time, bro. You know, I just punched you a couple times. Take your time, and then I'll come back to you when you're ready.
Yeah, when I'm done with you, I'm gonna kill you!
Bro, I mean, to be honest, right now is just not a good time for me to fight. I'm just not in the mood. I'm not feeling it. Can we just wait to have this fight until, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, sorry bro, my bad. Look, take as much time as you need. As a matter of fact, if you want to just like come back another day, I can save my plans for killing you just whenever you're ready. You just let me know whenever you're ready, okay, buddy? And then, like, in the middle of the fight, he finally knocks Colton down, puts his foot on, and then gets a phone call. He's like, wait 1 second, I have to take his phone. It's like the most awkward fight scene I've ever seen. Comedic, if they were going for comedic, then it worked. But I feel like a movie like this, they should have made the villains much more threatening. Instead, they just came up, like, I was laughing at the villains in this movie. Like, I don't think that's what they were intending. And then they had another fight scene. Colton was with one of his friends who I think he used to be in the military with, and then he's with Josie, who's supposed to be a trained mercenary of sorts, so you would assume she would know how to fight, but no, she doesn't. She doesn't fight anyone the entire movie. And this guy comes back to fight him. He cheesily rings a bell. He's like, round two.
Round two.
They start fighting, and I'm thinking in my head, this hitman is an idiot. There's 3 of them. Do you want to fight 3 people? And then I realize Colton comes up and starts fighting him, and the other 2 people are just there watching. They're like, let's see how he does.
I took out the drone. Tag in.
I'm like, why don't you guys help him fight the villain? There's 3 of you. 3 of you, and you're gonna make Colton fight him all alone? Colton's like throwing oranges at this guy. It's like the fight scenes in this movie have no weight to them. They're very awkward. Colton doesn't know any negotiation techniques. Partly through the movie, I guess it's kind of threatening. I mean, the villain, like 1 second is laughing and the next second screaming his lungs out. That's why I was laughing at him so hard, because he honestly just seems like some disassociated, angry old grandfather. Come on, come on. So he captures one of Colton's friends named John Carlos or something like that. I don't know. He really he didn't add anything to the movie other than he was Colton's friend who Colton had to save. And he's like, give me the serum or I'm gonna kill your friend. And Colton's like, give me 7 hours and I'll get you the serum. And the guy's like, oh, you've got 3 hours. Colton, who supposedly works for the military, and if you work for the military, typically you learn, like if you're a cop or like an operative like that, you learn negotiation techniques. Does Colton try to negotiate? No. He's like, okay, 3 hours, whatever. I mean, I don't even work for the police, and I know more negotiation techniques than that.
Yes, the negotiator.
What entered my head, and apparently didn't enter Colton's, even though he's supposed to be a cop and I'm nobody, but it yet entered my head, is that this guy's like, if you don't bring me the serum, I'm gonna kill your friend. Well, if you kill Colton's friend, now he has no reason to give you the serum. So maybe you shouldn't kill his friend, but Colton didn't ever think of that. There's like this pastor friend that Colton has. Honestly, I'm only talking about him because I want to make a joke. Like, I guess you could call him an old salt. He doesn't add much to the movie. He kind of helps with the climax of the movie, like the ending, which is one of the most unsatisfying endings I've ever seen in any movie. It's like another one of those moments where it's like the boss is like holding John Carlos at gunpoint, and then the preacher comes up and pretends to give him the serum, and he has a shotgun, and all of a sudden he pulls a shotgun on him, and what's her face? Josie, I already forgot her name.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
They come up and start pointing their guns, and it's like 3 of them, and I'm like, it's 3 versus 1. This villain's an idiot. It's like the same odds as before. And then I don't understand why, but at some point he said something. I don't even remember what he said. He's like, you guys better put your guns down. And all three of them put their guns down. And I'm like, you guys are idiots. It's like, I don't even, like, it didn't make sense. Maybe I'm missing something because I'm oblivious, but Plaza ended up having to come up and just handle the villain, and they just kind of left after that.
You hit me with a car!
And there was no satisfying ending. I'm not saying someone has to die for it to be satisfying, but it was like there was no climax. And maybe they were just trying to end it with kind of a loose, chaotic ending, but it ended without us even knowing what really happened to the villain. And you know, when you have a villain, at the end of the movie, you typically want to know what happens to them. And instead, they just kind of all point guns at each other, then put the guns down, and then leave, and the villain's just like, and nothing happens to him. There's also this one part of the movie, Josie is staying at a hotel, and there's this hotel receptionist. I promise this guy is the most soothing voice I've ever heard.
Pleasure, ma'am. Victor Vella, at your service.
I want to sound like this guy. And he works, he's a hotel receptionist. And one part of the movie, Colton and Josie, I almost forgot her name again.
In this video, I'm gonna talk about why you can't remember anything.
We're in trouble, and she calls this guy, this hotel receptionist, to come pick them up and bring them somewhere. And it didn't make sense, because it's like he's not an important character in the story, and all of a sudden he's saving them. It's like, it's almost like he came out of nowhere, and it's like, I have no idea who this guy is. It felt really weird bringing in a third-party character who didn't really add anything to the story. There's also this weird scene right here, one of the spies spying on Carlos and John. It's literally, she's talking on her comm, literally right in front of them, like 2 feet away from them. And I'm like, are you guys deaf? I'm sitting here and you're sitting, like, you're at the camera, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Colton and John over there, and they can't hear me even though I'm yelling on my comm. Cinematically, some of the shots in this movie are really beautiful. It can be kind of hit or miss. One of the fight scenes, which actually was a really good interaction between Colton. Honestly, Colton and Plaza had really good interactions. Honestly, in my opinion, they had more chemistry than Colton and Josie. I keep forgetting her name.
I don't ever hate women, but for you, I'll make an exception.
There's like this scene where they're fighting each other, and it's really dimly lit. Cinematically, most of the movie is actually really well shot, though. It's actually really beautiful. There's this really gorgeous shot where the villain is like at some mansion or something. It looks really, really good. So anyway, to wrap this all up, how is it 20 minutes already? I'm just blabbing about what I think about the movie. Oh. And here I am just dragging it on longer. What do I think about the movie? I mean, I've already been saying it. If you guys haven't figured out already, then I'm sorry, you're kind of clueless. I think it's a watchable movie. If I was part of this movie, I'd be very proud of what I did. I don't want to just bash movies, So if you're watching this review and you're one of the people that are involved with this movie, great job. Great job. It's a watchable movie. I mean, just being able to create a watchable movie is a great accomplishment. I just feel like what happens so often with Christian films, and I feel bad criticizing Christian action movies. I'm going to criticize a movie if it has a flaw. But I almost feel bad criticizing Christian action movies because I'm always saying, we need more Christian action movies. And it's like, when they do come out, I just have so many things to criticize about them. And I feel bad doing that. But I feel like what happens so often with Christian movies is that when we do finally make Christian action movies, we get so excited about the thought of, oh, we're making a Christian action movie, bro. That we focus so much on the action that I feel like we let some of the other elements that are also necessary kind of take second rate. And I think in this movie, the dialogue and the character development was just not focused on enough. I'm not saying don't focus on the cool fight scenes and the action, but I mean, the characters were just not interesting to me. The dialogue was just not interesting. I mean, take inspiration from movies that have done it well. And I feel like the dialogue was just uncreative. And I feel like the story was just not very original. And so, watchable of a movie, yes, but it's very forgettable of a movie. It's just not one of those movies that really sticks in your mind, not really iconic. And we live in a day and age where there's just so much content that it's not enough to just make a good enough movie. You have to make something that's really iconic and original. As far as any objectionable content, the movie is actually, like, they kept it pretty clean. There's not any profanity. We've got to talk about that cover photo, though. I think they got some blowback, because if you look up the movie on some platforms, there's like this picture where she's like wearing like this underwear, and it's like definitely a little sexualized. And I guess they got some blowback because they changed the cover photo for Pure Flix at least. It was like, well, maybe you guys shouldn't have sexualized a female from the first place, and avoided that issue. Other than that, they keep it pretty clean. There is some light sexual content. None of it I would say is overly inappropriate. There is this one scene where Colton and Josie do jump into the water and she's wearing a swimsuit that is a little bit revealing. Other than that, they kept the movie very clean. So anyway, that's my review of Love on the Rock. I keep whacking my little stand here. Love to hear what you guys think. Let me know if you like, I don't know if this style of review feels any different. It's a lot, I put a lot less work into this review than the normal ones because my reviews often take 10 hours to do. And it's like I'm working full time and then a 10-hour review is just really draining mentally, especially if I'm doing that back to back for each week. So I'm trying to put less work but not be lazy at the same time so I can make more content for you guys and also, you know, balance my own personal life. So I'd love to hear if you guys enjoyed this review, how much you enjoyed it compared to some of my other reviews. Stay connected. Follow Monkastery on Instagram and Facebook if you haven't yet. Subscribe on YouTube, you little stinkers. Do it. Push the button. Should I rip these notes? No, I shouldn't. I might end up needing